Hello, everyone. Welcome. Welcome. I hope you're having a great Wednesday. Welcome, everyone. Thank you for joining. Nice to see you. Thanks for joining us. I hope you're having a great Wednesday. I'm having a pretty good Wednesday. I'm excited about this topic. I get to do these webinars every once in a while, and every time I prepare for a new webinar for parents or for teens, I get to add new stories of teens that faced big obstacles when it came to their career and then got some great insights and are getting great results. And some of them are years into their career journeys, so I can update people and other people on where they're at. So I love doing that. That's one of my favorite pieces. So we're going to start in about 30 seconds. And I just want to wish you a big welcome. If you want to say hello in the chat with your name, maybe the age of your teens and where you're based. That way I get a better sense of if they're in high school, college, or university. And so feel free to use the chat function on Zoom. And you could share your name, where you're based, and your teens' ages. Okay, great. Let's get started. So I'm JP Michel. I'm the founder of SparkPath. I'm joined by Ali and Jody, who have both been working for SparkPath for quite a while. And we're thrilled that you're here because parents make a huge difference in the lives of their students when it comes to career exploration. So we always love hearing from parents about what's it like to be a parent in 2024. What's it like to help a teen figure out what they're going to do after high school, after college, after university. And today we're going to share some insights into how that process works, what some of the best schools in the world are doing, and some approaches to careers that really aren't working. So I think you're going to get a ton out of this webinar that you can go back and use with your teens. I'm planning on sharing content for the next 30 minutes, and then I'm going to stay on after that to answer your questions about careers. And I want you to feel invited to share your comments in the chat during the session. If you've got a question, don't wait till we're halfway into this. Go ahead and share in the chat. We welcome your ideas. In fact, it's more useful for me to hear directly from your ideas. So first, you got to decide if you're at the right place. If you're the parent of a teen or a young adult that's either in high school, in college or university, or out of school, and they're not sure what to do, this is the place for you. You might have a teen that's overwhelmed by their options. You might be concerned about the job market. You might be unsure, like, how do I support them? I'm not going to go out and do these things for them, but I want to find them the right resources. And how do I do that? You're at the right place. My background is in industrial organizational psychology. That's what I studied in my master's. And it led me to 8 years of human resources consulting. I worked with all sorts of different companies in all sorts of different industries, and I learned about what makes careers work for them. And I'm going to use all those insights to share with you in this webinar do's and don'ts for career exploration. In fact, I use these insights to create my own company called SparkPath, and we've been operating for almost 10 years, since 2016. Okay, you've heard about my background. Some of the tools that we produce include the challenge cards, which is a unique approach to careers I'll be telling you about today. They've been used by over 90,000 students in different schools around the world at all levels, from middle schools all the way to, even adults use these cards. They've been used at Harvard, Waterloo, Western. I also wrote a book called The World Needs You for the adults that help students reach their full potential. And I'll share a few nuggets from the book with you today. And we've run different prizes over the years, including Outstanding Career Professionals Leader from the Career Professionals of Canada. Our work's been featured on the BBC, CBC, Forbes, and TEDx as well. So a big welcome to those who just joined. Thanks, Jody, for sharing the link to the book in the chat. If some of you want to check that out on amazon.ca or amazon.com, you'll get to read what other people have to say about the book. Let me start off with a story with Adam. Okay, so this is what Adam's teacher told their parent, your son's smart, but he doesn't apply himself. Have you heard that before? Um, I have. A lot of parents have told me like these are the messages that they're getting about their teen. Adam's might be different than your teen. This is a kid who is not listening in class, so he's not performing well. He's starting to lose confidence, and now he's starting to feel depressed. Imagine what it's like for Adam for a second, but also for Adam's parents. They're worried. They really want to help, but they're not sure how. What I've learned from working with so many Adams is that he doesn't know why he's in school. Here's the promising part. When Adam starts exploring the why, it changes his life. Here's what Adam did. He started exploring careers through the lens of problems to solve. For example, he picked a problem that he wanted to solve, design the future of transportation. For him, this was really exciting. And now he started doing some career exploration around that. And he started to feel a new feeling. The world needs you, which is great because before he started, you could argue that he felt that the world didn't need him. And we really wanted to prove it to him. Like, there's so many broken things to fix out there. And Adam, we need you to fix them. And when he chose his challenge, design the future of transportation, now he made the connection to why he's in school. I'm here to learn something important that will help me contribute to a challenge I care about. Boom, engagement. Now there's purpose. Now he's more engaged in class. Now Adam's performing better. Then he picked a skilled trade that connected his biggest strength to a meaningful problem. He's starting to see the bigger picture. He felt relieved. Imagine the relief that his parents felt. When we connect education with challenges to solve like that, students like Adam, they show up to class in a completely different way. And this transformation that he lived is possible for every student. I believe that every student can make a unique contribution to the world. On different levels, different scope, it doesn't matter. There's still going to be an opportunity to solve a problem for someone at the end of the day. And that belief that I have, that's why I do what I do. That's why I founded this company. And you can probably tell I'm really excited about this stuff. And that's my why. That's why I get to do what I do. And I think I'd love to hear from you, maybe what's going on with your teen. I don't know if your teen's like Adam or if they're completely different. So what I'll ask you to do now is either using this QR code or using the chat. Can you go and tell me what's the hardest part for you as a parent? Whether you're helping Adam or someone completely different, when it comes to helping your teen or your young adult choose their path after high school or their path after graduation, what's the hardest part for you? So the way you're going to do that is if you like using QR codes, you can put up your phone and take using your camera app. That QR code will give you a link, or you can use the link that Jody shared in the chat. Whatever's easiest for you. I'm going to give you 30 seconds to do that now, please.
Looks like we've got a response or two rolling in, JP, in our form. One of the folks said, the hardest part of helping your student choose a path after high school is that I've never done this before. First time for the parent.
That's hard. And I've worked with some super competent parents. Ali was like, I'm a CFO of an organization, but the way I landed here was like unexpected. There was serendipity. The way the job market worked was different. I only have functional expertise in like being a CFO of a manufacturing company. If my son wants to be an accountant, I got a lot to say, but they don't. Right? So it's like, okay, well, as a parent, are you going to go out and get certified as a career coach? Like that seems like it might not be the right thing to do. And does your teen want you to be their career coach. I work with a lot of families that say no, like that's not the setup that we want. So that's not easy, right? To be in because you do want to help. Thanks for that, Ali. What else are you seeing?
Yeah, we've got one in the chat from Marjorie. My son, 21, never found his why. He has undiagnosed anxiety big time. Now 21 feels so much pressure from everyone, but so hard to commit and move forward.
That's tough. That's tough because maybe he feels like Adam at this stage. Like, does the world need me? And I feel it's such a shame because it does. And I don't say that to students like Adam as a motivational speaker, like someone who's positive and encouraging. I am positive, I am encouraging. This has to do with motivation, but I like to do something else. I like to prove it. I really go out and prove here. Let me show you some real problems to solve. Let me show you some real companies that are working on solving it. And here's why they want you to work there. Of course, you've got to do some work to get there. You've got to work on your habits. You've got to work on learning what you need to learn, getting experiences you need to get. But once you get there, you can make a difference. And I think that's really important for them to feel. And it doesn't matter their age, right? Like some people feel this at 21, some at 15, some at 27. And there surely are a lot of things that we can do about that.
Do we have time for one more, JP?
Yeah, please.
Great. Okay. So the hardest part of helping a student is helping them not feel like they only have this one choice for the rest of their lives, recognizing that this is the next step on their journey that will open so many doors.
This is connected with Marjorie's comment in a sense because she used the word pressure. This is where a lot of the pressure comes from. So I'm going to share another story with both of you that might help your teens look beyond getting one job title for the rest of their lives. Because in fact, they feel like that's how the world works, but it's not. It's not today, it's not for their future. So there's a much more freeing and empowering way to think about their future that I'm going to share with you today that's going to help with this. So I love the comments, love the participation. Thank you for that. Let's keep them coming. The way I'm going to cover this is I'm going to talk about the main barriers I see for parents and teens, how to overcome them. What specific steps can you take? That's the agenda. And the goal is we want to take someone like Adam from I feel pressured, anxious, and stuck to proactively taking steps. I'm empowered. I feel confident. And I've seen this happen with so many students. It may feel unrealistic depending on where you're at or where your teen is at, but I've seen it happen so many times that I want to talk to you about the key elements in the formula to get that transformation. Those of you who want to do this on your own, I think you're going to get a ton of value out of this webinar to go out and have some new conversations about careers. Those of you who are looking to do it with someone, later on, I'm going to tell you about our program called the Purpose Driven Student Program, where students complete a unique career assessment. They have access to weekly office hours with myself, who's going to act as their career coach. And they access a curriculum that's very engaging around careers, education, self-reflection, self-assessment, including their journal. And the goal is we want to empower teens to go through this process, not just right now in their lives, but they're going to have to go through this so many times to reinvent themselves in their careers. And we're giving them the skills in that program. So we'll talk a little bit more about that after. First, let's do the pressure part. I worked with a student, her name's Anna, who felt a ton of pressure. She was being asked, what do you want to be when you grow up? That's a big question to answer. I don't know how many job titles your kids know, but Anna didn't know a lot. She knew about 10 or 20, and there's more than 10 or 20 out there, aren't there? So what I asked her to do is instead of finding one job title forever, let's let go of that pressure. I want you to find a problem to solve in the world. And I didn't ask her, to do this on her own. I did it with her. I gave her a copy of a magazine. I said, pick your favorite article. That's all you have to do. She picked this Strange Brew. You see the green colored water? This is a polluted waterway that is being cleaned by specialized algae that's being developed. So it's like, who's making this algae? Like to Anna, this was fascinating. This is motivating. She wants to learn more. So then we started working backwards. That's the challenge she wants to solve. What's the company working on it? Hypertrophic. Okay, very cool. They're owned by Algol Scientific. We found them online. Then we looked at who actually works at that company. We saw a list of employees who saw their job titles, and then we worked backwards again. What did they have to learn to be able to do that. It turns out that a lot of them had studied materials, science, and engineering. Anna had never heard about this. I had never heard about it either, and I was her career coach, right? But we discovered it by working backwards. It turns out that material science and engineering was a great fit for Anna. This is a real picture of Anna, first year in her lab. She went to college at Penn State in material science and engineering. Imagine what it's like to be her. She's going to school on purpose. She knows the impact she wants to have on the world and how her studies can help her do that. Empowering, right? Now, she doesn't need to commit to algae for the rest of her life or to material science and engineering, but she has a way to navigate her options that she didn't have before by connecting what she's learning with problems she wants to solve in the world. I call that having a challenge mindset. That's what Anna has, a challenge mindset. It's very different than what her peers have. Here's what happened to her peers. In a grade 10 careers class, they were asked, what's your favorite class? If you like math, then in post-secondary, you can go to college or university or even community college and study something like accounting, get hired as an accountant. It all feels very linear to them, right? And then you get hired by a company that hires accountants. And then 5 years into your job, 10 years into your job, you realize, well, what am I doing as an accountant? Like, what's the challenge I'm trying to solve? Maybe you help companies pay as little amount of tax as possible. And maybe you love that, or maybe you hate it. It took you so long to get there. What if today, as parents, as schools, we invite students to flip the model? Start by exploring inspiring challenges first, just like Anna did, just like Adam did when he picked Design the Future of Transportation. Then we can work backwards to find what companies in my state, in my province, in my city are designing the future of transportation. Okay, well, now that I found them, who works there? What are their jobs? And what did they have to learn to be able to do that? All of a sudden, you can make a connection back to their daily life. Or I'm learning something that's going to help me contribute more to a challenge I care about. Let me say that one more time. That's the why. Going to school today, I'm learning something, I'm studying. It's going to help me contribute more to the challenge I care about. That's much more motivational than the traditional approach. I don't know who's on the call, by the way. Like, I don't know what your kids are interested in. Maybe some of you have kids that are in the 99th percentile when it comes to 3D visualization. I'm thinking about that Lego kid. Like, they can imagine 3D objects and rotate them in space better than 99% of people. Maybe the problem they want to solve is they want to make something that matters and use big machines. And working backwards, maybe they're going to work for Delta and they're going to be an aircraft mechanic, an aircraft technician. Maybe for them, a 2-year degree is a much better option than a 4-year degree. Depends on what they want, right? So Anna started off this process with maybe the worst question to be asked, because to her, what do you want to be when you grow up, felt like she needed to pick one job title for the rest of her life. That's where the pressure came from. And this is exactly what we need to go away from, because Anna only knew a handful of job titles, and there's over 20,000 job titles available today. Never mind in 2025, 2030, 2050. We can't rely on the job title as the heart of career exploration. So many of the schools I've worked with have realized this is the problem. We've started off the career conversation with a job title to fit into instead of an inspiring challenge to solve. And there's so many to work on, by the way. You may have teams that want to promote healthy living or improve mental health. There's so many options, so many broken problems to fix. And if they don't choose the challenges they want to work on, someone else will choose for them. They'll end up working somewhere that may not align with their strengths, their values, the impact they want to have on the world. Now, this approach is different. I acknowledge that, the challenge mindset. I've been working with my team, with our partner schools, to bring this way of thinking as far as possible. We want to replace the traditional approach to careers, and we need your help to do that, to be clear. We need you to spread this message. First, find out how this approach can help your team get unstuck. I'm thinking that some of the people, some of your young adults they feel stuck. Could this be the conversation, a new question, a new reframe that changes everything for them? It could. It's done it for so many students that I've seen use this approach. Now, can we pause here? I've just brought you through this new approach called the challenge mindset. You know your teen, your young adult better than I do. Can you tell me, using the chat, how might a challenge mindset help your teen? Could you think about that for a minute? Feel free to share your comments in the chat, but I want you to take a moment to reflect and give me a little bit of insight into your teen. How might this approach help them? Please keep typing and keep your reflections going. I'm going to read some of the answers as they come through. I've got a comment here. It might actually help them narrow their focus and understand where they need to begin. Well, yeah, I like that. That's insightful, because I'll tell you a bad place to start. I want to help people. Pretty broad, right? Like, without getting more specific, it's hard to move forward. We need to narrow our focus eventually. And I like to start with breadth. Let's explore, let's broaden horizons, let's explore new possibilities, look at all these challenges to solve, and then let's narrow them down. And I do that in a very simple way. Let me take a second to tell you that. I show students challenges to solve through a card deck called the challenge cards. There's a physical version, there's a digital version. And I say, okay, take this deck of cards and sort it into 3 piles. The challenges you're not interested in, the challenges you're interested in, the challenges you're very interested in. Pretty simple, right? They do this sort for 5, maybe 10 minutes, and then it's done. Just like that, you take a student who says, I have no idea what I want to do, I have no options, and then you find them something that they're very interested in talking about. That's how I do the narrowing process, very gently, because in the very interested pile, they end up picking their top 3, and then we talk about them, which is something you could do as a parent. What made you choose this challenge? What interests you about this? I love asking those questions because I learn new things about people all the time, just based on what they're answering to their top challenges. Next comment, it helps them think broader, not feel restricted. There's something very freeing to students, something very anxiety relieving about the flip model I showed you. For some reason, every time I'm in the classroom, when I present to schools, they see that flip model, challenges, companies, people, jobs, and they're like, oh, I'm not that restricted. There are more possibilities than I thought. They might focus less on job titles and specific programs of study. Great. My daughter's 16. She's great at math, so is thinking accounting, but I think she will hate this down the road. Challenge mindset will be helpful to see other options. Math can make a big difference in solving a lot of different problems. If she can start thinking about connecting that with the problem she wants to solve, she's going to find new uses of math that she never considered before. It can help them explore the context of something they know or understand and can relate to. The choices are much more appealing and feels like it really honors their interests. I'll use a couple of keywords in here I want to call out. In the context of something they know or understand or can relate to. This is an obstacle in career development. Often we're asking them to choose or to explore careers they've never heard about, job titles they've never understood. That's difficult. The way SparkPath designed the challenge cards is that we have an image, we have a very simple title like the ones you've seen, like Improve Mental Health, and it connects with something that they can relate to. They turn the card around, they can learn more about that challenge, and we've got all this research that they can do about how to learn more, but it starts off with something accessible. I'm going to use the word accessible to explain, like, how do you connect it to something that you can relate to? And then honoring their interests. This is a good one because honoring is very powerful. Some students that you can meet with, they've been rejected. Their interests have been rejected. They've been denied. But starting off with something that they care about, it makes a big difference for them in terms of trust. I know I've felt this personally as in my role as a career coach, for example. Okay, I love your comments. Please keep them coming. That's very useful to hear your insights on how the challenge mindset might help. I think you're right on the money. This is what one parent said after their student had gone through the experience. They said this experience will no doubt serve our son well for a lifetime. Why a lifetime? Does that sound dramatic? It might. Well, remember Anna. It helped her step into the classroom with confidence, choose her college major. But again, she doesn't need to commit to material science and engineering forever. In fact, she can solve different problems than algae. So this career exploration process is something that people will need to go through more often in the future than they had in the past. This is because of the labor market. Technology is changing things very quickly. Another comment came in, we want to support them in their decision-making process and not tell them what to do. It's a tough balance, right? Like you don't want to be completely hands-off, figure this out on your own, go Google, or let me tell you exactly what you need to do, when you need to apply to what program is the best program for the job market, etc. You need to find the right middle there. And I've used the expression a conscious parent for what I feel like who actually shows up to these webinars. It's the very self-aware parents. I hope you'll allow me to pay you a compliment without having met you yet. I'm just sharing my experience meeting a lot of parents in this space. Who shows up to a webinar like that? A parent that's thoughtful, that's conscious, that's mindful, that's self-aware, that wants to find the right place for them to intervene, that's not too light and not too heavy. This was the case for Glenn, by the way, is a great example of that. Here's what students have to say. It helped me learn that I have the power to be what I want to be in life. I felt that. I'll never forget that quote, the power. And she didn't feel that before, right? Doesn't that make a difference? And here's about the cadence of, for example, this is the program that we do. I like these meetings. They keep me focused on the task we're trying to get done. Sometimes parents say to me, well, I like what you're proposing, but like, is my teen actually going to do this? We've been working on this formula to keep them engaged on task, completing things at their own pace for years. And we'll share a few things that we've seen work really well with you here now. So let me come back to our agenda. I said I was going to talk about barriers for parents and teens. I've given you a bunch already, okay? We've talked about the job title as our enemy to having a true exploration process and what to do about it. That's a shift from the job title mindset to the challenge mindset. Now, what do students say when they talk about their barriers? They say, well, I have a lack of options. I don't have the right options. I have too many options. I have too few options. That's the first barrier that we see. The second one is they say, well, I don't even know where to start. How do I do this? Do I Google? Do I ask friends and family? Do I ask my teachers? Where do I go to get this information? And number three is by the time we see them, they're disengaged. This is where the feelings come in that you've described. Like, I don't know what feelings words you would use, but it could be anxious, it could be depressed, it could be pressure. There's so many things that like they prevent them from doing basic things. Like some students have additional barriers. They're on the autism spectrum. They have ADHD. They have another learning disability. There's another situation. Like there are quite a few things that can be in their way. And the way we've tackled these specific barriers for students, I want to tell you, for each barrier, what's the solution that we found? The first one's pretty straightforward, going from lack of options to the right options. The way we help students go through the right options is through the SparkPath career assessment. You might have guessed it. We help students discover challenges to solve and they pick their favorite ones. Just from that data, we can then help them work backwards to find companies working on that. Who works there? What are their jobs? What did they have to learn to be able to do that? And with just a touch of personalization, we can narrow down the options just based on students' interests, values, and strengths, so that they're not looking at like 5,000 possibilities, but we're showing them something highly relevant to them right away. Not knowing where to start is a question of having the right process. Where do you start? I'll tell you, most career development, most schools, they start with the student. Tell me what you like based on what you already know. I know you're just 16, but tell me what you like based on what you know. We don't do that at SparkPath. We have a different approach. Our theory is that at 16 years old, you have not been exposed to the world of work. So we're going to show you new possibilities, and then we're going to ask you, who do you want to become in order to do that? And the difference between who do you want to become in order to do that versus who were you, who are you at 16, and let's crystallize that, is a world of possibilities. We want to honor their current strengths, interests, and values, but we want to put them in the right place. This is just who you are at 16. There's so much more that's possible. So that's a unique process to start doing it that way. And then lastly, disengage. Every step of this process has to be done in the right way. Okay. Even to the granular, let's call it user experience design of the challenge cards, of easy, simple sorts, like a card sort, to the way we ask coaching questions, through the curriculum that we've built that walks them through this. It has to be based on their motivation, fostering, nurturing that motivation, because so many students have lost that motivation. Those of you who are looking for a partner in the process, you might want to consider the purpose-driven student program. That's where we bring students through the career assessment. They have access to our weekly office hours with myself, and they go through our online curriculum and reflection journal. This is work, right? So students would show up, for example, to the office hours every week, and then they would have 1 hour of homework to complete after that office hour, and then it repeats again. Okay, so I'm going to walk you through this. I'm going to call it program, just so you see the mechanics of it, and I think you might pick up a few key pieces that talk about the outcomes that a student receives after going through this process. So maybe I'll start there with outcomes. Ali, can you let me know like how this looks? Does this look right, or should I zoom in a little bit?
Yeah, let's close out the outline. Perfect. That looks great.
Right. So let's look at it as a map. I find a map is a useful analogy for a student. What are we going to do together? How long does it take? What are the steps? The first one is preparing to launch, where students look at an expectations agreement. We bring them through some career myths, careers 101, and we have them set goals, not for their life, but just for this program. What do I want to learn? Why is goal setting important at this stage? Well, we work with students who are 16, and their goal is I want to choose a university program to apply to, or I want to choose a college I want to attend. We work with students who are 22, they flunked out of college, they want to get a job. So they're focused on getting a job. So there's quite a few different outcomes that we've seen from students in terms of their needs. Next, we flip the model. This I just told you about the process of going through challenges all the way to learning. And then part 3, it's about who do I want to become in order to do that. So we give them access to some self-reflection, awareness tools to articulate how they're uniquely wired to contribute, because every student is different. Number 4, taking action. We actually require students to research the options that they've found. They're excited about the options that they found, but then they're going to do online research. We're going to show them how to talk to actual people doing these jobs. We're going to talk about how we want them to overcome obstacles, and everybody will build a plan. And next, we have a graduation, which means, okay, these are your options that are relevant for you today. Here's a longer term roadmap for success. And let's share your experience with your parents, with your peers, with your employers, with your schools, just so you can articulate what stage you're at. Ali, Jody, any questions about this map, the steps, anything I missed here?
I
No,
don't think so.
this is great. Yeah, if you have questions as a viewer, though, please feel free to put them in the chat. We're going to be monitoring. We had one earlier today come in, but I feel like we've answered it. JP, I'm going to give it to you just in case. Someone has a student in Nova Scotia, grade 12, having a hard time narrowing down interests and deciding what to pursue in post-secondary. How is a grade 12 student supposed to figure this out?
Yeah, it's not easy, but this is the exact process that we've partnered with so many schools to help them do. What's true about grade 12 is that there's an additional amount of pressure. Graduation's coming. Application deadlines are here. You have to, if you're in Nova Scotia, you're probably going to have to decide 4-year program or 2-year program. And this is the process we recommend. We've done this with so many schools, and we've done this ourselves through the purpose-driven student program. Some of the questions that I get is like, what are you going to get out of this? You're going to clarify your goals, overcome inaction, and gain confidence. For parents, this program helped them have a new starting point for a different career conversation, a new set of tools that they can use, and the feeling of watching their team gain confidence after being at a low place. It's pretty powerful. And Jody, would you mind sharing this link in the chat? We've got quite a few YouTube videos of student testimonials. Maybe that's something people could do on their own afterwards. It might
sure.
feel relevant. Thank you. It might feel relevant to hear directly from students what it was like for them. Some of the resources that students get access to is their own assessment report, their career journal, and the weekly coaching office hours. Those are some of the tools that we use. Might get a question about cost and timeline. So let me answer that. The cost is $99 per month. This is a special that we're running this summer. If you decide to start the process before August 9th, these are all the tools you get access to, and it's $99 a month, including the office hours, including unlimited emailing with me. So there's a lot of value there to go get, especially at that price point. Most students will do this program for 3 months, by the way. They'll go through our curriculum, they'll get the outcome that they want. Some choose to stay on longer if they've got a special thing that they're researching. That's happened before. We like to be flexible. The reason we don't say it's a 3-month program for everyone is because some students take longer. And I want to say as well, some students take less time. That means they need to make for example, if a student needs to make a decision quickly for the application deadline, they're going to go through this curriculum a lot more quickly to be able to get through that. And we offer a guarantee here: love it or we'll cover it. And I mean it. That means a refund of your money. If you engage in the purpose-driven program, you don't find the tools, resources, and support you're looking for, we're going to refund you in full. If you want, you might tell us what worked or what didn't work. We'd love your feedback, but this is part of us trying to design the best career program in the world. It's with you, parents. So I hope this de-risks some of the process for you. If you want to find out more about me and about us, there's more information here. Ali, I think we're going to send this offer, the Purpose-Driven Student Program, by email after the webinar, so you'll have access to this. You might want to do, look at what is this book? How does it work? And you want to look at all the details. I'm happy to do that by giving you access to this. In fact, what I found in terms of the best way to start is we've got some let's put 2 general categories, okay? There's one parent that will say, this is exactly what I'm looking for. I'm going to tell my teen and they're going to get ready to start. Then what we do is I literally will meet with the teen one-on-one in a coaching readiness call, just to make sure they're ready, they understand what works, what the point of this is. I want to make sure they're going to get a lot out of it. They're going to make sure that they want to work with me, okay? That's what we do when I meet with a student in a coaching readiness call. That's one category of parents. There's another category of parents that's maybe 50% of the time, they think this sounds great, but will my teen do it? Very relevant question, right? You might have bought them a book before that they didn't read, so you know that feeling, right? So in this case, the coaching readiness call is with the parents. I talk through with parents, what do I feel like the teen needs to be able to do to be able to get a lot of this program? I answer all the parents' questions, and then eventually I would meet with their teen, but maybe afterwards. So those are 2 situations. I don't know on the call like what's best for you, which one you describe, but I wanted to give you both of those options. Last, if you participate in this program and you join, this says this month, Ali, but why don't we change that to August 9th to give a little bit more flexibility? We're going to send you a digital copy of that book, The World Needs You. Jody, how many books have we sold so far? Like over 7? Are we at 800 copies sold or 700?
I think so, yeah. I think about 800.
Yeah. So you'll get a free copy of that as part of this program, because that can be a tool for you as well in what you're doing. Okay, let me read out the frequently asked questions, and I want your questions, okay? How long do they typically use SparkPath for? I think I've answered this already. It's 3 months. They usually do 1 to 2 hours of homework per week, 1 being the minimum to me. Who hosts the office hours? At this stage, I'm doing them, but no matter what, we'll always have a qualified career coach there. How many students are in those actual office hours? It could be 1 to 5 students at a time. And you can start right away. I already have an active list of clients that I'm coaching, that I'm meeting with regularly. So as soon as you pay to join, you'd get your onboarding email for the student. They'd have access to the curriculum. They can complete the assessment and join the next office hours. Okay. Questions, comments for the parent, from parents on this call about the purpose-driven program. Ali and Jody, any comments from you while people are writing theirs?
Yeah, I just want to assure people we're going to send out the recording of this webinar. If you feel like you missed things, we'll send out a copy of the slides and that offer doc with all the links that you need. So that'll come out shortly after we wrap up here today. And yeah, Jody and I are monitoring the chat if you have any questions.
Great. Maybe it'd be useful. Like, would you be able to send that link in the chat now? Like, there might be a parent that they already know they want to have that conversation. Thank you. And then they can find a time that works for them. In the meantime, keep writing your questions. I've got a couple more. I guess I'll call them some more frequently asked questions, right? One of them is, okay, I think my team might want to do this. How can I tell them about this? Well, we have a TEDx talk that summarizes this information in a story format. You'll hear about Adam's story. You'll hear about Anna's story there. And maybe that's something we can put in the chat as well from the TEDx website. It's a very short talk. It's 14, 15 minutes. That, in fact, would be a better video to share with your team than this webinar, which, I focus on parents. Here's one question. Like, do you work in Canada and the US? Both. Like, our tool is used by the University of Waterloo. It's used by Harvard University. It's used by Collège La Cité right here. I'm based in Ottawa in Canada, by the way. So it's used all over North America, and we have people both in Canada and the US that are part of this program. Thanks, Marianne, for your comment. So maybe at this stage, I'll ask you, what was the most useful part of this webinar for you? I think there are quite a few of you online. I'd love to hear from everyone. What was the most useful part? If you're keen, share what's missing as well. Like, what else did you want to know that we didn't learn about? Because I can add that either right away or for future webinars. But that's my question for you. I'll even type it in the chat. What was the most useful part of the webinar today?
JP, we had a question come in through our form, and this person wants to know if they should be recommending paths to their student or not.
Tricky, because think back to that CFO that I told you. The CFO of the manufacturing company has unique insights into financial careers, manufacturing, that the student could never have access to. That's specialized info. Of course, it would be very tempting to provide that recommendation. Here's my advice. Most parents I meet with recommend too early. Okay, so too early means too quickly. It means literally, what do you want to be when you grow up? Here's an idea. They didn't give their student that chance to go through the exploration process on their own. Remember, teens are in this very biological stage of separating from their parents. Like, we joke about it in TV shows and movies and, about this teen stage of rejecting your parents. Their brains are changing. That's the whole point. Like, it's a very important stage of their identity to do this. So even if your recommendations are great, they might reject them. Okay, so in my experience, I don't tell parents not to recommend. I just tell them to wait and to be extra patient at the end of the process when a teen has articulated the impact they want to have on the world, the companies they might want to work for, the jobs they might like to have, what they might want to study. Then the recommendations can be customized. Oh, you know how you said this? I think this is related. You know how you said that? I think that is related. And I think that's similar to some of you have learned like formal coaching skills. It's a very similar approach to coaching. Like in coaching, you can provide recommendations, but that's not the point. The point is usually you want to encourage students to discover things on their own first. Ali, that was a very long-winded answer, but I think it deserved those 90 seconds because I've seen recommendations happen too quick in the process and it breaks trust. Right? It's like, oh, like my parents' bias. They're just here to tell me what they want me to do, but this should be about what I want to do. That's one thing I've seen. Does that make sense?
Absolutely makes sense. I appreciate the long-winded answer.
Okay,
While you were
thank you.
doing that, we did have a nice comment come into the chat. You want to read that one?
Yeah, thanks. I love the approach of reversing the conversation to begin with what challenges they would like to tackle. That will help me to have a more productive conversation with my grade 12 student. That's fantastic. So today I told you about the challenge cards as a tool you can do that with. You can order those on our website at mysparkpath.com. You don't need to. You could use the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals. if you've got a teen that's like has a scientific bend, and an investigative mind, that's a good tool. If you've got someone more practical, you might give them a copy of National Geographic as a magazine, and just like Anna flipped through a magazine, like they could flip through, or Popular Mechanics, they flip through a magazine and find their favorite article. There's so many ways to find challenges, right? Great. Next question. I'm not in the US. Yeah, so we work with students in Canada and in the US. Just want to make that clear. Canada and the US. I really like the flip the model concept, a different perspective. I see potential value in the program. The evaluation ahead of time is good. I have no desire to keep questioning gently my son with little to no feedback and someone that's not mom. I think I follow you, Marjorie. I have no desire to keep questioning gently. Yeah, this is tough, right? It's tough. Like you want to keep helping. Maybe things haven't worked, so you want to try something different. We'd love to help. So I'm going to share my email address if you want to email me directly. But if you email SparkPath, you'll reach Ali and Jody as well, and you'll be in great hands. Great. So I think we've covered everything we wanted to cover. Big thank you to everyone who joined. Thank you, Jody and Ali, for setting us up for success. I'm thrilled that all these parents invested the time and energy. Like the research shows, you're still the #1 influence on teens' career choices. I know that's surprising because you just told me like they're not listening. That's what the research still says. So instead of being the #1 influence through specific career recommendations based on your lens or experience, I think the ultimate role for a parent is connecting them with the right resources. And you've done that today. You've got a new resource, a new approach. You can follow up with them with the TEDx talk on the challenge mindset, or you can book a call yourself as a parent to learn more, or directly with your teen. I'd love to stay in touch, by the way. Ali, Jody, and I are planning on updating you regularly on what we're doing, who we're helping, to give you more ideas about how to help your teens. And just by being here today, you're helping us with our mission to change the career conversation. So a big thank you, and look forward to our next chat. Thanks, everybody. You're welcome. Really glad it was useful. Thank you.